Hey everybody, on this episode of the AfterBuzz concert experience, we're getting up close and personal with recording artist Ben Hazlewood. Let's do it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the concert experience. The song we're listening to is Sail Away, brought to you by my guest, Ben Hazlewood. Now, the concert experience is the show where we get up close and personal with some of your favorite recording artists. Whether you're listening to it on your headphones, you're working out at the gym, you're watching a video on TV or on YouTube, we bring you all the inside information you ever want to know about your guest. I'm Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. My guest today is recording artist from Melbourne, Australia. He competed in the Australian version of The Voice back in 2012 and is in the midst of a U.S. tour. His second EP, EOS, is going to be featured in some of that concert dates as well. And his latest single, of course, what we're listening to right now, Sail Away. Please welcome Ben Hazlewood. Ben.
Oh.
Yes.
How's it going?
Good. All right, so, as we're saying, in the midst of a U.S. tour. You've been mostly on the West Coast, and now you're starting to make your way back over to the east side of the country. How's the U.S. tour been so far?
It's been amazing. It's been really cool. This is the West Coast tour that we did was the second U.S. tour that I've done. So it's just really exciting getting every show we play, there's more people turning up and more people that have heard my music, and I'm getting pumped about it.
All right, let's go back to the first time you did your first U.S. concert tour. Mm-hmm. What's it like coming from Australia and you think, all right, I'm going to go to the U.S. What kind of expectations do you have about a tour? Do they meet? Do they exceed? Are they different than what you thought it was going to be when you first came out here?
I think the first tour that I went on was very different to what I thought it would be. It was a bit of a mess, but it was a lot of fun at the same time. So, it was very different to what I expected, but it was awesome going out and playing my music live with my band, and we did 32 shows on that first tour, which was crazy. I don't even know why we thought we'd be able to do that, but we did. We played, there were a few that we didn't end up doing, but a lot of them, so I think we ended up playing about 28 shows from all around Middle America, the West Coast, then down to Miami, and then up the East Coast, so it was pretty much everywhere. Yeah, we went everywhere. I saw a lot of the States, some parts that I kind of didn't really know what the hell was going on, and some places that, you kind of got the vibe a lot quicker. But yeah, it was a good time. Is touring different from doing it in Australia as opposed to the States, or touring is touring no matter where you're at? Well, I mean, over in the States, I have a tour bus now, so I've just invested in this bus, which is amazing. It's so much fun. And we just get on the bus and then we go to sleep at night and we wake up in a new place. And in Australia, you can't do that. I don't think legally you're allowed to do it.
Really?
Because everyone, I don't think you can be, I think everyone has to be in a seat with a seatbelt. So you can't sleep in a bed in the back of a thing or something. So it's it's awesome. It's the best way to get around. Wow, so even if you were trying just like a family and you wanted to go around and cruise around in an RV in Australia, you could not just... I think you have to have a seatbelt on, yeah. Wow. So so you can't do the same tour bus scenario in Australia as you can here. So it's pretty exciting to do it because, it's kind of always been my dream of getting on a tour bus and having that, that movie Almost Famous? Yes. It's having that kind of moment, when you're kind of, playing these shows and meeting other bands and hanging out with them and, hanging out with people that you meet at the shows and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that was kind of a dream that I got to live. So it was pretty exciting. Well, it's nice instead of I got to get to the airport. Sorry, guys, I got to leave because I got to be there 2 hours before check-in and all that. So now you can just hang out as long as you want. We've done one radio tour where we flew around the States and that was hell. That was... And just constantly perform, get ready to go to the hotel, go to the next city. Yeah, we were getting on 2 flights a day and going to the different radio stations and everything, and that was just my nightmare. So I made sure that never happens again. And so when you're coming over to the tour in the U.S., especially for your first tour, had you been to the States before? Yeah, I'd been a couple of times. Okay. I've been to L.A. and Nashville. I've been to those 2 places, but they're pretty metropolitan cities, so which is what I'm used to, but then going around on this tour and seeing a lot of the smaller towns and everything in the States and the different kind of areas, and every state is a different country over
Very
here.
True.
So you cross over the border and you're in I don't know, Texas or whatever, and all of a sudden everything's different, It's, so yeah, it's a fun experience.
Do they kind of run by the concert venues before, and you kind of like, yeah, let's go here, and there? Or are you just like, I'll just go wherever you guys book me, and I'm good?
Well, this tour, the one that we went on last year, it was kind of an already established tour that I jumped on. It was me and 3 other bands, or 4 other bands, and we just kind of, the dates were already set in stone. But this time I've come over, we did the West Coast tour with A&R Worldwide, who a radio promotion, so it was in conjunction with different radio stations up the West Coast. And that was a lot of fun. I think we ended up doing like 8 shows. So I can't remember off the top of my head exactly where they were, but we've started in San Diego and finished in Seattle. So we did about 10 shows up the West Coast. And then this time I wanted to go out to New York and do. So we've got New York and Philly, and I'm playing a show in Nashville for the EP launch Thursday. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of picking and choosing and just kind of taking the opportunities that come my way.
Now, going to some place like New York, one of the most famous and coolest metropolitan cities here in the States, do you set it up so that you have a few days just to be able to relax and unwind so you can explore the city?
I've been a few times now.
Okay.
I think, but I love New York. It's incredible. It's just so unlike anywhere else in the world. It's just so unique. But the first time that I went to New York, I was doing New York Fashion Week, and I actually walked in Milan Breton's New York fashion show. So I did like the runway. So I got my model, I got my Blue Steel Zoolander situation on, which is pretty cool. That was a pretty awesome experience. So, I've walked in New York Fashion Week now, so that's cool.
Oh, no big thing. I just did that, guys.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But kind of standing backstage with all the other like models and everything. I mean, everyone was so beautiful. I was just like, they were asking me why. They're like, and what are you doing here? And I was like,
like you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. I was like, it's part of like a Make-A-Wish situation. I don't know. Yeah, I felt a little out of place, but no, it was really fun. And then I played my first show ever in the US in New York, and I think I had 3 people in the audience. So that was a good time.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes. That's always a rough spot when all of a sudden the audience is like, we are the band outnumber who we're performing to.
Yeah. Well, like the bartender and the sound guy, and the security guy. So there was more staff than there were people there. So, and my management. So, but my manager was like, "You don't have to go on." And I was just like, "No, it's fine. I've played to less." So yeah, so it was a good time. I love New York. New York's amazing, so I'm looking forward to going back. And we're playing on this Sunday actually, at Pianos in Lower East Side, so it should be cool.
Oh, cool. Now, jumping back over to, because you breezed and it kind of basked and breezed by your cool experience on the fashion runway there. So, as somebody that you've expressed that you have like an interest in fashion as well. So, getting a chance to actually walk down a runway is not something that everybody gets to do.
No.
Is this? I mean, how do you do they give you tips? Do you just like, well, I've seen enough people walk down runways. I know how to walk down a runway.
Well, I mean, I've been, my mom was a dance teacher, so I grew up dancing like my entire life. So I kind of know how to, I guess, hold myself in that moment, but still it was really bizarre because, as a singer, you get up on stage and you've got half an hour or 45 minutes or whatever to do your thing. But as like a model, you literally walk back, and then unless you're going back in another look, that's kind of it. So it's like, it's really strange. Like there's so much pressure put on that like 1.5 minutes that you're out there. So it was a lot of pressure. And we had a couple of run throughs, but the guy that was doing the staging for it, he was just like, he was telling everybody, he was like, you need to walk down the runway like you have a dirty secret, something that you don't want to tell anybody, but you know what it is, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I was just like, okay. So I was like trying to do my best, like, dirty secret look. And I was just like, I don't know what the fuck I was doing with my face. But, and then he came back and he's like, more energy. And he's like, you, and like pointed at me. He's like, I love it. You have a secret. I want to know it. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. And, like, so, and he was like giving me lots of like, confidence and stuff, but because he knew I was there for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So
that's right. We're just going to encourage him, just to keep encouraging everybody.
Exactly. So, I mean, no, it was very fun. It was a cool time, but,
Well, because it's got to be different for when you're performing in front of an audience. They're there to see you. They're there to hear your music.
Yeah.
So you get to really interact and engage with them. But if you're promoting wearing somebody else's fashion, somebody's clothing line, I mean, it's not necessarily about you. It's about showcasing their stuff. So I imagine it would be hard not to want to go up at the end of that runway and just be like, I am here at New York Fashion Week. Check me out. You just got to check out and just go.
Or just bring like a mic like in the jacket and then like an amp behind me and just start singing down. I don't know. It was kind of weird. It was strange, but I think it was just an awesome experience. It's one of those kind of like bucket list moments, you know.
Yeah.
So and Milan Breton was really the designer. I met him a couple of times, and he was really super lovely and nice, and supportive and everything. So that was great that I got to know him, and we still keep in touch. And so it was a fun time.
So now the outfit that you wore as you walked down the runway, is that something that you're like, yep, I would wear this on on a regular basis? Like, wow, this was something I could never have seen myself in.
No, it was really cool. It was just like a black leather jacket and some kind of like black flares or something. It was very like Rolling Stones, like Mick Jagger kind of vibes. Okay. So it was a good time. It was fun. I would wear it. Yeah.
So now you mentioned your mom, and you grew up dancing as well. So was that kind of your first entrance into the arts, and then music came a little bit after that?
Yeah. So I grew up dancing. I was like 4 years old when I started, and my mom ran a dance studio, and that's just kind of where I spent like the majority of my childhood, so around people who are performing and being on stage. And then I was doing a lot of singing with that, and I did a lot of musical theater growing up, and I was just always kind of wanted to be on stage and performing and everything. So I mean, it was kind of just my life really. So and then when I started writing music at the age of like 13, that's when I started wanting to, really focus on singing and performing my own music and working with bands and everything to create my own sound. And
So coming from a family that's already involved in the arts, as you start expressing this interest in wanting to not only just be musical theater, but also write and perform your own music, were they just, yep, we could completely see this. This is you. We're totally behind you.
Yeah, 100%. And my dad was actually in bands a lot growing up. That's how my mum and dad met at the shows, because he used to go, because he had the background knowledge of sound and mixing or whatever, so he would offer to go for free to my mum's dance performances that she put on for her studio, and he would go for free and do all of her sound for her. And then so that's how they met, and then that's how their relationship started. But so my dad was in a lot of bands, and he did a lot of sound engineering, and so as soon as I kind of took that road, he was very, very supportive, because he stopped doing everything when he started having children, because his dad was kind of like, you can take over this business or get a real job kind of thing. And then so I think that's something that he always wished that he could have pursued a little bit longer, so it kind of lives vicariously through me now.
Well, and what I think is cool about parents, and especially for people that become musicians, is that they're basically like your first curators of music. They basically introduce you to stuff that they're really interested in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of your entryway. So what was stuff that your parents were listening to that kind of started piquing your interest?
Like the Stones, Beatles, Janis Joplin, Fleetwood Mac, Jeff Buckley, just a whole bunch of amazing, like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. So it was a very it was very broad. But then family holidays would listen to like the Les Mis soundtrack, the whole way up in the car, and different other musicals and everything. So it was a very broad and eclectic kind of mix of stuff that I grew up with, which is pretty amazing. It blows my mind whenever I meet anyone who, like one of the photographers that was on tour with me, she was just like, my parents never let me listen to music, or I never listened to music. So it was only really when she was like 16 that she started listening to popular music or whatever. And it blows my mind. Like, so she had never heard of like the Beatles or the Stones or the Doors or anything like that. She had no idea who they were.
Wow. I mean, I guess maybe these days I could see that happen. Well, for kids that are growing up now, because there's so many different things to listen to, whether it be music, if you want to get into podcasts, if you're listening to so many other audio sources there, it doesn't necessarily have to be music. I could imagine people growing up in I just listened to podcasts with my parents and not really listened to much music until I went to school and started meeting friends of mine.
Yeah.
Man, so now, so when you have somebody like that that's just kind of getting their first introduction to music at age 16, I feel like that's just...
It's a bit weird. I mean, for me, no, I mean, she's not weird. But...
She's weirdo. Get out! You're not shooting my show anymore. Get out of here.
No, but like I just find it so strange because I was constantly surrounded by performing and music and creative, you know, like expression of yourself and art and blah 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 blah. So I mean, it's not weird. It's just very different from where I come from. So where I grew up, you know. So yeah.
So when you start wanting to get into writing your own music, do you basically look as those artists that you first listened to as kind of your kind of template to start kind of like, I'm going to start emulating them for these first songs I'm going to start to write, and then you kind of start finding your own path?
Yeah, but then there was also like the stuff that I was into myself at that time, which influenced what I was writing, which was not great.
Well, I know I read an article where you said you wrote your first song. It's like, you know, it's terrible, it's garbage.
Oh my god, yeah.
Do you ever have any interest of like, now having, you know, learned so much and grown so much as an artist, to go back to that first song and just see, could I fix it and tweak it and make it something good?
God damn no.
No, never.
There's a couple of those songs were so terrible. Like, I don't think I've ever admitted this before, but like. Like Jesse McCartney, do you remember? So he had released some stuff, and it was like, I was like, that's a really cool, like the hooks and everything that he was using in the pop music. So I tried to kind of emulate some of that in what I was doing, and it was just terrible. So I never want to hear it ever again.
Now, for you, when you were playing those first songs, is it you just realizing like, oh, this isn't good, or are you playing it for your parents and you're just seeing their expressions and you're like, ooh, okay, this is not that great?
I think for the time when I was writing it, like I was 12, 13 or whatever, I think it was good. Like, I mean, it's not something that I'm so thankful that I never released it and there's no versions of it out there anyway. But I think it was good because it had it conveyed a story. It had, you know, the verse and the pre-chorus and the chorus form, and it had the lyrical content that made sense, and it had a really strong hook in it that was, I mean, I wouldn't say it was the catchiest thing in the world, but there was some sort of like realization. And this is something that I've just totally done by myself. And I worked with the producer in Wellington, New Zealand, where I actually grew up. And he was super helpful. His name's Jeff Duncan, and he is the guy that actually produced Vanta and EOS. So it's kind of gone like full circle. But he was the first guy that really took time to help me and, you know, like work with me to kind of like build my songwriting and everything. So I think without, you know, him, apart from him, you know, I was doing it completely alone. So I think that there were redeeming elements to the song.
What's it like to reunite with the gentleman that you worked with at the beginning, but now you've already released one EP, you've become more confident in yourself as an artist, now to kind of reunite with that person that helped you out at the beginning?
Yeah, it was a weird kind of process well, not weird, but it was just strange how it all worked out, because I was in Australia and I just finished The Voice and I just released the EP called Loveless, which I was happy with, but I knew that it wasn't really what I wanted, and I knew that it needed to be more than that. And I kind of was doing a lot of writing in Australia, and I just didn't really find anybody who could help me do what I was trying to do. And then so I just thought, like, I'm just going to give Jeff a call, because I felt like we always had that connection. And I think as a songwriter, as an artist, even though that's still building, you know, and it will always continue building, I think, with me anyway, and changing and whatever. But I think that he probably had the best kind of idea of who I was as an artist or a songwriter. So I called him, and then I went to go and work with him. So I flew over to Nashville to work with him, and we spent like a week together working, and that was exactly what I had hoped would come out of the sessions. And so I was really pumped about that. And then he actually played them to one of his friends who I am now managed by in Nashville. So this is the whole reason why I'm kind of spending so much time in the US, is because of that trip. And so, I mean, it's just worked out so well. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Oh wait, how can you complain? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
As you're saying, when you had finished your first EP and you it wasn't quite where you wanted it, did you know exactly what was kind of missing, or is it a case of like, I'll know it when I hear it, see it, feel it?
I think the problem was that my management at the time in Australia were just kind of saying to me, we need to write for radio, write these songs for radio, write for radio, write for radio, blah, 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 write for radio. And I was just like, oh my God, I get it. And so there was this kind of this weird pressure to write these songs. And then we did that, and I did that to the best of my ability. And then we kind of took them to radio, and radio didn't want anything to fucking do with them. So it was kind of like, oh. And so I kind of didn't really get to say what I wanted to say or produce it in a way that I wanted to produce it. And so then I kind of really learned that lesson that I shouldn't be doing this for anybody else but me as a singer, songwriter, and as an artist. It needs to be what I'm trying to put out there. It needs to be what I want. And then if people like it, then great. But if they don't, then they don't. But at the end of the day, if I'm proud and stoked with what I've put out there, then I'm going to be happy no matter what way it goes, if it's a success or if it fails, because at least I'm totally behind it. Whereas I think I was upset and a little bit kind of defeated with that Loveless EP because it was what someone else wanted from me, and then I kind of was like, well, that wasn't what I wanted, and I couldn't stand behind it. So I think I learned a really big lesson in that the reason why I'm doing this is to get my voice and my story and my emotion and my the way that I feel about things out there. So and that's why I do this, and that's why I want to continue to do this. So I've got to make sure that is the main reason why I'm writing and releasing music.
I can imagine that I kind of unfulfilling experience if somebody decided to kind of pursue that avenue as a career, where you're basically chasing somebody else's expectations and desires.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna, if say you do write something that they like, that's radio, then you're gonna have to be touring with us, singing the song that even you're not really that invested in, but you're stuck with it for years and years, singing it and singing it. I can see that can kind of start diminishing and kind of crushing your soul slightly, a little bit.
Correct. Yeah, and I think the main thing for me as well is that I write music and produce music and everything that I want to do because I want to be the one on stage singing it. You know, like that's the goal. I want to be performing that music. So it's just making sure that when I'm there at that moment singing and touring with that song, that I'm still 100% behind it and like still enjoy the shit out of performing it live, you know. So yeah, I think that's pretty important. And yeah, as I said, I learned it was a big learning curve.
Now, and one thing, it's also performing live and music is one thing, but also videos become such an important part of it too. So bringing your song to life in some aspect. Are you heavily involved with that in terms of like coming up with the concepts that you want to be able to do? Do you already know as you're writing the song, like, this is how I want it to be shot? Yeah,
I think that with Drive On and Wanted, which we both shot in Nashville, I think I was heavily involved with the concept. I mean, when I'm writing music, you know, I'm telling a story. The way that I write music, I tell a story, and in my mind, that story is already kind of living itself out. So I think I've already got a really strong idea and kind of sentiment that I want to get across when we're doing the visual aspect of it. Like with Drive On, I'm not performing. There's no singing in it. I'm not singing because I just wanted to really focus on that story and explain that story to anyone who's watching the video. And with Wanted, I remember the song is not so much about a timeline of a story or something that's happening in chronological order, but it's more about a feeling that I was trying to get across. And it's like this anger, angst, like frustration, like love and brokenheartedness. And I just kind of said to management and to the guys that were coming on board, I just want it just to be like almost an overload of shit, you know, fucking with your eyes and your ears and your head. And so after it, you're just kind of like, oh my God, I need to take like a Valium or a like Ambien or something like that. I just want them to just be sitting there being like feeling slightly drained from watching it, because that's how I felt about the story when I was writing the song, because I was drained and exhausted from everything that was going on. So I think through the song and then through the visuals, I wanted to kind of portray that as well.
So when you're filming Drive and you're driving around, do you use one of the rigs where your car is up on something? Nope.
No, I was driving. And it was like, I can't even remember what type of car it was, but it was like this really amazing old school like GT or something like that. Like it was amazing. And it was the first time I've ever driven on the other side of the road, and I had the girl who was in the car with me, and I was just kind of like, I was just like, are you sure? She was just like, please don't kill me. So, so we're kind of driving around, and then I was just kind of like, but then they were kind of like, they had cameras and everything hooked up to all different sides of the car, getting the view, and then they were filming off the back of, you know, another truck in front and everything. So I was like trying to have to, and they were like giving me direction in the back, and I was just like, it was full on, and it had no power steering, and like the accelerator, like you tapped your foot on it and the car would fly, and then if you touch the brake, it would like slam the brakes on. So it was a very jolting experience, and so yeah, it was fun.
I can imagine that's the hardest thing, is like to drive like you're comfortable on camera.
Yeah, exactly. With someone talking in the background and then stopping you every 10 seconds because they need to wait for other cars to pass, or like they need to change the lighting in the car, or I don't know. It was a full on. It was pretty intense. Yeah.
Are those fun days doing the videos? Because I mean, imagine if you're performing at a concert, it's great. There's no interruptions. Nobody's stopping you to. We got to wait for for another band to come in real quickly, or like it's just you getting engaged with the audience.
Yeah.
Are days when you're shooting the videos, so they kind of like they're fun to do, but they're also
just
like a different beast.
They're just long. They're just really long. And I mean, I've had some experience with film and TV. And I kind of get that. It's the whole hurry up and wait situation. So. The last video that we shot, which was at the end of last year, was for Sail Away, which is the new single that's come out from EOS. And we started filming at 6 p.m. and then we filmed right through the night till 6 a.m. Because we had to film outside and we had to get a few different like ideas that we wanted in there. And the only way for us to do it was in the middle of a desert and film it at night. And so... it was crazy. It was brutal. And then the next day we had to go down for sunrise and then film a whole lot of stuff at the beach. And so I felt like by the time I had finished that set, I was back on Australian time. Like, so when I got home, I wasn't actually that jet lagged. So, but I mean, yeah, they're just really long days. They're just really intense. And, but they're just so much fun to kind of bring something that, I mean, this is what I always kind of sit back at the end of like every songwriting session or whatever I create. I'm just kind of like, wow, that didn't exist today, at the beginning of today, but now it does, so it's kind of like, and I keep trying, there's like almost as my mantra, like even if it's not as great as you think it what could be or whatever, like you've created something, so I should be happy with that, like this TV show.
There you go. Yeah, look at that. Are they very different collaborative experiences when you're writing a song with somebody else as opposed to now you're shooting a video? There's the director, the cinematographer, but there's also a wide variety of crews. Are they both equally as fun in the collaboration aspect, or is it a little bit different?
I think when you're writing a song and you're kind of producing it, it's kind of happening there and then on the spot. And I think with the videos, because of the budget and the people and the different elements that you need, everything is so thoroughly planned out before you kind of arrive and start filming. So everything's just kind of been put into place. But I mean, it was really fun with Drive On to kind of collaborate with the other actors on the set, because as I said, it was more of like a telling the story throughout the whole song. So I was actually acting in it, and I kind of like laugh at that. I mean, I've had experience with acting, but it's always been, again, in musicals when I've kind of been singing alongside of it, or you know what I mean? So it's kind of been very different. So just to stand in a silent room and perform and act is kind of weird for me. So, but it's been cool because in Drive On I did it, and in Sail Away I did it a little bit. So yeah, it's been a fun experience. But just vibing with the other people in the room and kind of seeing what happens in each moment is pretty exciting.
I guess it's going to be interesting for doing musical theater. You are acting, but you're basically emoting and translating somebody else's words and songs that they've done. But now you're basically acting to your own song that you've written.
Yeah, exactly. And I know the story and the sentiment behind those ideas better than anybody. So it's kind of like every time I get up on stage and I perform them, like I'm very like emotive and energetic on stage, and I come off, and like the other night after rehearsal, even like I had a migraine because I was smashing my head around too much and like, going crazy. But I mean, that's like, I need to kind of give it that performance because that's how I felt at the time when I was writing it, and it's kind of still how I feel. Like it almost like transports you back to that moment. So it's pretty exhausting sometimes, but I mean, it's just so fun to kind of be able to relive that moment and act that moment out again, and kind of, yeah, it's kind of therapeutic in a way.
Well, it's like with songs, very much like a time machines. They will take you back, even if it's your own music or somebody else that you're listening to, take you back to a certain time and place that you remember probably when you first heard that song, you closely associated to that moment. So for you, going back and playing some of your older songs, is it very much a time machine going back, man, I can't believe I was feeling or thinking this?
Yeah.
It's really interesting to kind of revisit it.
I kind of go back to some of the beginning songs, and some of the songs that like I wrote about my brother passing away. I was kind of just like, wow, they're really, like, lyrically, they're very mature for a 13-year-old that has just kind of gone through this. So I'm kind of quite impressed, and that brings a lot back as well. So I mean, it's quite cool. It's like, it's almost like reading a journal or a diary from that period of your life. But I mean, I've never kept a journal or diary, but I guess those songs are kind of my version of that. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool going back and listening to them. But again, some of them I just want to
It's I guess it's not like one of those where I think like old photos that you're embarrassed of, where it's like, you know, your parents will bring them out for friends or family. Look at these. I guess with songs like they're yours, so you're not going to keep. You're not going to bring them out like, oh, you wouldn't believe what I was writing back then. Guys, take a listen to this.
Yeah,
no, they're locked away.
I think that some people do have them. Like, some of my closest friends still have them. My dad still has some of them. My dad still has this one song called American Movie. It was inspired by like the whole, you know, I don't know, like the whole start of reality TV, I guess, like, and how everything is not really as what it seems. It's not really as it seems, and it's, I don't know. The song's called American Movie, and I hate the song so much. But my dad is like, you need to do that again. You need to redo that version. You need to do it. And my friend Sarah, she's always like, you need to redo that song, American Movie. It's so good. Blah blah. And I was just like, I hate that song so much, like, with a passion. So yeah, it's they still. I don't know if they're just doing it to rock me up, or if they actually think it's good. But I think they know that it pisses me off.
Yeah, of course, it's always a sense of needling. But I also think that's true. Like for songs, different songs reach different people in different ways. So a song that you may not be completely jazzed about still connects with somebody else in a way that you, even though you don't want to hear about it, you're like, you know, I know it might be riling you up, but genuinely it does connect
cool.
with me.
Well, then someone else can sing it because I'm not. Because I refuse.
Is that something you would be interested in doing? Is being just a songwriter to have somebody else perform your music?
I mean, I've done it before. I've written songs for other people and songs that have been sent off to other people. So, but other artists. But it's just really, it's hard for me to write a song and not put like 100% of my own story into it. So therefore, I think it becomes less generic in a way and harder to place with another artist. So, yeah, I mean, yes and no. Like, I mean, I'm not really. That's not really a road that I want to take. I think it's kind of, you know, when I was talking to my dad about kind of pursuing music as a career, you know, he was just like, I was just saying to him, you know, what about university and blah, blah. He's just like, you can always go back to college or university. You can always go and get a degree doing something else. You need to go and do this now because this is what you want to do now. And then I was like, yeah, but everyone's saying I should have like a plan B. And he was just like, well, fuck the plan B. If you've got a plan B, you're going to be spending too much time on that and not enough time on plan A. And it's kind of, I took that same kind of idea into songwriting and everything, which is like, I want to write for myself and perform as an artist myself. And I really want to focus on that at this moment instead of writing for other people. So, I mean, because for me, it's mentally exhausting to write so much, and then so I kind of want to spend that energy on myself, and then but maybe later down the track that might be something that I fall into, but at this point it's just kind of writing for me and performing my music. Being super selfish.
Well, no, of course. I mean, this is your time to be able to express yourself. So yeah, you should enjoy doing writing songs and be able to perform them for yourself. Interesting though with your dad, and I assume money that came up from choices that he made in his life about having that plan B, to really just like pass it on to his son. Like if you're in the same situation as I am, don't kind of, you know, like have any kind of regrets. Go full tilt right now and not think about anything. I
mean, I'm sure that like 99% of parents in this world would disagree with him, but you know, I think there was a lot that, you know, was like to say about that fact that he said that to me, you know, because I mean, it's not the most responsible thing in the world to do, but I mean, he was just like, go and do it. But I mean, it was so true. If I ever decide that this is not for me and I want to go pursue something else, like I have time to go and do that, and I can, you know, but I think that the life experience and the the way that I've kind of gone through my career so far, and everything that I've learned, and the places I've traveled, and everything. I mean, you can't sit in a room and learn that. So it's pretty cool.
No, and I feel like it's so much because there are, as you said, probably 99% of the people, maybe less than that, but there are many people, I'm sure we both know, that they don't have the full support of their parents for pursuing whatever they want to do. And I think no matter what, that always just kind of like, that's always just like a little something in the back of their head. So to be able to be in your situation where you have the complete support of your parents, like go full tilt.
Don't get me wrong, it wasn't like complete support. Like when I was living in New Zealand, when I was like 18 or 17, I got an offer to go and join a band in London, and I said yes to it. And then 2 days later, I think I was getting on a plane, and my mum said to me that if you get on that plane, I'll never speak to you again. And I was just like, okay, well, bye. And so, like she was, but I think that was more of her not wanting me to go so far away onto the other side of the world, rather than like actually following the dream or whatever. So, I mean, there were moments where it hasn't been fun, and it's been super stressful, and I've dragged them into it as well. But I mean, that's what it is, having children. I guess don't have children.
So, when you're 17, you're going to London to be in a band.
Uh-huh.
What was that experience like? Was it what you were expecting?
Crazy. That was not what I was expecting either. But I mean, some of it was amazing, and some of it was terrible. But it was just amazing, kind of going over there and being in a completely different environment. So I grew up in Wellington, New Zealand, and before I had left New Zealand, I think I'd been to Australia once, but to the Gold Coast, so by the beach and everything. So not even Sydney or Melbourne, but I'd never experienced like a big city before. So I landed in London, and it was just mind blowing. It was crazy, and then met the band, and then we started working together, and that was going really well, and we did that for about like 3.5, 4 years. So it was amazing. And I think from that point, having a band to collaborate with, and to write with, and to create a sound with, and to play shows, and have like management, and we had an independent record label we were signed to, so it was a really amazing experience.
And was those connections made because of your time on The Voice, or
this was way before The Voice? Okay. Yeah. So then the band broke up, and then I came back to Australia because I didn't want to move back to New Zealand, so I moved to Melbourne, and then I kind of was doing my thing, and I had the offer through a record label to go on to the first season of The Voice. So I kind of said, oh, well, I'll give this a go. And worst case scenario, because the band hadn't actually fully broken up at that point, I said, worst case scenario, if I don't get very far in it, then I'll just go back to London and continue with the band. And so then I continued doing The Voice, and the band, they replaced me.
Oh.
And I was like, fuck you guys. And continued on The Voice, and then just kind of pursued my own solo career since then.
Man, it's as a 17-year-old in London in a band, making that first connection. I mean, that's got to come all the way from New Zealand, going all the way to London. How do you make that initial connection?
It was through a song that I had written and put up on YouTube, or maybe MySpace, actually. Yeah, remember MySpace?
No, all right. Friends of Tom. All right, everybody had Tom, so you guys connected you guys. All right.
Yeah, so it was, I think it was MySpace or YouTube or something. It was a song that I written, and then I had another cover of there as well, like of, I think it was an Elton John song. I can't even remember what the song was.
But if you think about it, the internet has changed so much in terms of being able to reach people that
definitely.
That all of a sudden you're talking to people in London, something you may not, before the internet became so prominent, like those are just things you may release to your friends and they may hear, or locally.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the only way that from New Zealand to get that, to London would have been through an established kind of channel through a record label or something, and you just definitely don't need that anymore.
So when that first, sorry. we need it, guys. When that first contact, are you do you take it seriously when they first reach out to you? Said, hey, would you be interested in coming?
No, I thought it was a complete, human trafficking situation. So, I mean,
I'm sure that's why your mom was like, I'm never going to see you again.
Actually, yeah, now that I think about it, that's probably why she was so fucking scared, because she was like, oh my God, it's going to be like Taken.
That's right, yes. Your mom's on the phone, I've got a special set of skills.
Yeah. I've been a dance teacher for a long time.
That's right.
Dealt with so many dance moms in my time.
I will find you and I will kill you.
She fucking would too. Yeah, no. So I totally thought it was a joke, complete, bullshit. But then I spoke to them a couple of times, and my parents spoke to them, and I think they, I don't know, Skype with them. I don't even know if Skype existed back. Yeah, it probably did. So so they spoke to them, and they were happy, and the label was legitimate, and the management were legit. So yeah, so it was really cool.
So even though your mom was reluctant for you to go out at first, how long was it into you already there in London that she kind of at least, all right, I'm calming down, it's cool, this is a good move for you? Or did she ever feel like that?
I don't think she ever calmed down, really.
Really? Not until you came back?
I mean, the whole thing wasn't super smooth sailing. It was like, I was in London with these random people and band, and I mean, it wasn't all amazing and look carefully orchestrated and everything. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was messy, but it was a good time. It was a hot mess.
So you come back and you do the voice, and I was reading in one interview where you said like the best piece of advice you got was like to not take it seriously at all.
Yeah, it's I chose Joel as my mentor, and he was just really cool. He was like, he just said, this is not the be all and end all of your career. Like, you're going to go and do amazing stuff after this. He was just like, don't get so worked up. He's like, at the end of the day, this is a TV show. And, as soon as he said that, I was kind of like, it really is. And I mean, a lot of it, and not that I really enjoyed my experience on the show, but I think it was because I took that attitude the whole time. I had a great time. A lot of people were so stressed out during the entire thing, and then so many of them were devastated for years after it as well because of it putting everything, all their eggs in one basket, or putting it on a pedestal, and it, like, and being inside of that when you're filming it, you're like in a bubble, and it seems very like that's the only thing that exists in your life at the time. And then when you come out of that and you don't have 15 people looking after you every day, making sure you're here at the right time and blah blah blah, when that ends, it's very it's like a reality, crashing down into reality. So I think that it was amazing advice, and that's the advice I would give to anyone going on to any of these shows or whatever, that it's just another platform, and it's just another way to open doors with people, and it's just another experience that you can grow from as a singer or a musician or whatever.
I feel like that mindset that you have is so much harder for people to take, because no matter how much you try to be cool, I feel so many people will put, like you just said, put it on a pedestal, put all their eggs in that basket, because they feel like this is an opportunity, my biggest platform that I may ever get.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't sitting there like stoned out of my mind the whole time, just being like, yeah, man, like this is awesome. Like I was like, I still took it very seriously, and I worked my ass off, and I was upset when it ended, and the adjustment period from being on that show to kind of like, crap, what do I do now, was hard. But I think that it was more of like, okay, cool, I've got this now on my list of things that I've done, and I've just got to kind of use it to the best of my ability to make everything else happen off the back of it. So it's easier said than done, but I think that just even having that in the back of your mind, because that is the truth. The thing is that when you're in that bubble, you really start to believe that that show is the only thing that exists, and is the only thing that will kind of bring you success. And if you don't win, or if you don't get it, then you're going to be nothing. So I think that just even having that thought in the back of your mind is a good thing to have, just so you don't go completely insane.
Does it feel like
I
did? Does it feel like it's been 5 years? Or does it seem like a lifetime ago?
Oh my God, I can't even remember if anyone was going to ask me how long. Was it 5 years? I mean, I don't even know how.
5 years. Yeah, okay. See, look at that. So, yeah.
I don't even know how long ago it was. It doesn't. It feels like it was so long ago, I kind of remember it. And then sometimes it feels like, I'll hear a song or something, like, or I'll remember some part of it. But I mean, the whole thing went by so quickly as well. It was this whole blur. You're just like hyped up on adrenaline and nerves, and you're just so, into the whole experience that it just flew by as well. So a lot of it I can't even remember. So but I wouldn't believe that it was 5 years ago. But then I would also believe if you told me it was 25 years ago.
It has aged me.
No comment.
So I was also looking through your Instagram feed, and there's a couple things I wanted to ask. One great leg day that you had right there. I did like that. I did like the one comment. There you go. Just like you got to wax those legs. I did like
leg day. Oh my god. No, well, I started going to the gym like a lot because I think it's just really helped me, especially being out on tour, kind of staying active and like instead of drinking and partying the whole time, which I did do on the first tour, and that really didn't end very well. So I've started like getting myself into an exercise routine and kind of trying to stick to that as much as I can, because otherwise you just get so like jaded and sick. So
it's nice to have some sort of, no matter what city you're in, you have some sort of kind of routine that you can kind of
exactly.
dial
So
into.
I mean, yeah, I think, and it's just not even about the way that it makes me like look or whatever. It's just more about like the way that you feel after exercising, you know, the endorphins and everything. And I feel like I'm a much nicer person to be around.
Then get to the gym. Get to the gym.
Correct.
There's also some photos of you in a laundromat. One with you trying to get inside a dryer. Get inside this. Yeah, thank you, Ronnie. There you go. Yes, getting the Speed Queen.
Speed Queen.
Yes.
Hashtag Speed Queen. That was hilarious because that was on the last tour when we're going up the West Coast, and we were in Oregon, and weed is recreational in Oregon.
Okay.
Is it? Portland? Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I've never been in a state before that it was legal. I don't even really smoke weed, but we went and got edibles, and then we took those photos.
That's what I like. We go get edibles, and we're gonna go to a laundromat.
No, that was the funny thing, because we took the edibles, and Katie, who came on tour with me, she does backing vocals. We had so much laundry that we had just been like putting off doing, and we had one day off on the tour, and we got stoned, and we're like, let's do our laundry.
That's what you decided.
And we were so excited about it. And then we went to the laundromat. We were really high, and we took photos. And then there were these two older women sitting in the corner, and we started singing songs to them. And like, it was a really fun day / night. I think we were there for about 4 hours. So,
and how did
we
the
met a
women...
dog.
Oh no, you met a dog.
Some
We're saying
with
some
it.
old women.
Yeah.
How did the women respond to the songs? Were they
They
fans?
loved it. They were requesting different songs from like their era and stuff, and we were trying our best to remember them or sing them. So it was a good time. I enjoyed myself. We were in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing to do. There was a laundromat, a gun shop. No, not a gun shop. Like a laundromat, a supermarket, a ribs place, like a barbecue place, and a gas station and a Denny's or something.
So then, yeah, it makes sense.
There was
Wash
really
those
nothing.
clothes.
There was nothing else to do, and obviously the place that sold the weed.
Yes, that seems like I can see why that place is probably doing killer business there, because there's not much else going on.
Correct.
Yeah. I feel like that is the unglamorous side of touring that you hear. It's like at some point we have to do our laundry, and it's not exciting, and clearly not, because you saved it up for so long that nobody wants to do the laundry. But at some point you have to.
Yeah, at some point you have to do it, but it's also not glamorous. I mean, like, you're kind of staying on the bus, but every now and then you get like a hotel room that you go and shower in, and they are pretty feral rooms. Like, so it's not glamorous, but I think, yeah, the only way that you can survive doing that is if you just truly love what you're doing, which is like creating music and playing music live. So yeah.
Well, I feel like there, as opposed to a great thing about having the bus is that it just gives you a chance to just hang out more, as opposed to being on an airplane or stuff like that.
Yeah,
where it's just
exactly.
so regimented. You guys can just hang out, and whatever comes up, comes up. If you guys feel like you want to start singing, busting out the guitar, the music, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's or drinking.
Yeah, or drinking, because somebody else is driving, so it's great.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, but I'm really, 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 really lucky. And some people would just be like, I haven't paid my dues or whatever, because like a lot of the other bands, like I think we had 3 bands on my bus when we went on this tour, but we had a driver, and then there were the other bands that were, driving themselves. So in their own vans and RVs and stuff. So, that's hard, because they have to kind of all share the driving and then kind of, stop. They can't do the whole drive in one time. So, I mean, we're really lucky that we've got the bus and I can sleep, and then the driver drives to the next place. So, yeah.
Because I feel like that's the unsung hero of the tour, is the bus driver. I mean, he's the one that's got to. All right. So not a huge fan, but I mean, he's the guy that's got to drive you all night. I mean,
If they're amazing, if they're good at what they do, then yeah. But
okay,
if
all right,
they're
enough said.
next question.
So how did you like Portland, though? One of my favorite cities.
Portland was
in the States.
amazing, and I kind of remember the place that we played, but without a doubt was the best sound that we had at a venue, and the sound guy was incredible. But yeah, really cool city, really really fun. I wanted to stay longer, but obviously we had to move on. But I'm definitely going to go back. It's a good time.
Now, have you been to Austin, Texas?
Yes, we played South by
Okay, nice.
last year. Last year, yeah, around this time last year we played South by, so that was fun. That was a really crazy experience as well.
I'm sure. Well, given Austin's a fun town, but I've never been there for like a South by Southwest where it's got to be just even crazy.
Well, I have friends that actually lived in Sydney and have now moved to. They live in Austin now, but I was just like, Austin's amazing, like it's so lively. There's so much going on, and he was just kind of like, yeah, that's during South by. Once that ends, it's not the same town. So, but I mean, it was insane because there was, thousands and thousands of people just down that one street, and there was just music coming from everywhere. So it was surreal. But kind of after South by, I was like, I just need to not listen to music for like a week because it was pretty over, it was everywhere. But it was great. I had a really good time.
Enjoy moments like that, though, to get exposed to artists you may not have heard to, or see artists that you really enjoy and you get a chance to go see them perform?
Yeah, especially like going to see them live. There was one band that I went to see twice because I saw them the first time. I've never heard of them before, but they're actually from Melbourne. They're called Tiger Town, and it's like electro pop rock in a way, but it's really awesome. But I saw them live, and then I was just like, damn, that was amazing. And then I found out where they were playing again, and then I went and saw them like the next night again. So it was really cool that you can kind of, discover artists and then go and see them a couple of times in the time that you're there, because so many artists are playing so many different showcases, So it's really cool. And yeah, a lot of great musicians and a lot of great songs and vibes and good times.
What do you take away when you see a band that you're really excited about, seeing them perform live, as opposed to just listening to their music in the comfort of your own home?
I just love the way that other people perform, and the way that they've got it all set up and the energy. Like the band, like as I said, Tiger Town had just the most amazing energy on stage, and I think there's 6 of them or 5 of them, and they're just all in sync and they're on the same level, and it was just a really good, like, high energy show, and the sound was great, and it's kind of just watching that performance and just thinking to myself, okay, how do I make my sound, as good as it possibly can be live, and how can I make my performance as raw and intense and intense as it possibly can be. So it's just great to see that and kind of take inspiration from other acts.
And is that something that you see that, and like, can you rehearse it, or it's like something like, I just have to try this when I'm doing my next live show? I really can't sit there and kind of rehearse it and kind of think about it if I'm not actually performing in front of a crowd.
Yeah, I think it's just something that comes naturally to me in performing and stuff. But I mean, I think that, with the sound and the different way that you can kind of create that live sound, I think there's a lot that you can do before kind of getting on stage, of course. So, so there's a lot that you can do in preparation, but then a lot of it just kind of has to come out in the moment. Because also, I would never like rehearse something. I mean, I've been in so many, when I was younger, like, dance things that everything was choreographed and everything was so staged, and like, if you're in musical theater, everything has to be the exact same every single night. You have to be standing in the exact same place at the exact same time, blah blah blah. But none of my shows I never choreograph movements or anything like that. It's just all what comes naturally at the time. So I think that you just kind of watch people and kind of get inspiration and see what happens when you get up there, really.
So going all the way back to your mom, as you're talking about being a dancer when you first started out, is there anything from those days of being at your mom's school, watching her teach, anything like that, in terms of just performance, that you still kind of think about or incorporate to this day? Or is it just like, I'm kind of the antithesis of this because I don't want to be so rigid and choreographed while I'm on stage?
I just think that there was a lot of ways that a lot of things that I've learned from being like in that dance world and everything, just kind of how to carry yourself, and especially being the best thing that I can take away from it is just being in sync with the music and kind of knowing when something's going to happen, and kind of making that moment kind of visually be bigger as big as it can, or as as understated as it can. So there's a lot of that is really great that I love incorporating into what I do. So I mean, it was in my blood, obviously, with my mom and my dad, and kind of it's just instinctive to me. So, but I learned a lot growing up in the way that I did, and it was pretty amazing that I did.
Well, now, as you're saying, you were just taking your first couple days off. You've been writing, so
Yeah.
you have a couple days to kind of decompress and unwind,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're jumping right back into it. Do you have a pretty much a pretty rigid schedule? Like, I will write 5-6 days. I'll take maybe a day or two off, and then get back into writing. Or
I
is
mean,
it
I've
very-
been here. I've been in LA now for 2.5 weeks, and I've written every single day that I've been here. So, apart from one, which I think we were driving back from San Diego, went down there for the night, but I was hungover in a car, so it wasn't really like a day off.
It was miserable. Yes, there you go. I can understand that.
Yeah. So yeah, no. So I think I'll take a couple of days off now, and then I'll go to Nashville and do the EP launch. It was where my management's based in Nashville, so we're going to go back there and do a celebration of the EP and launch that. We're playing a free show in Nashville on the new Western rooftop, which will be really cool.
Oh, nice.
So anyone who's in Nashville, if you want to come join us, then come along on Thursday night. I don't even know what time it is. It'll be on Facebook. But yeah, so we'll do that, and then I'll go out to New York and then do a couple of shows, and then I think I'll go back to Nashville and start writing again. So I think it's great that I can split it up with writing and then doing some performances as well, because then you really remember why you're doing it and why you kind of fell in love with it, is because you kind of get to perform that on stage later. And I think also performing in the middle of it is kind of like, oh, I need a song like this, or it would be great to have like a moment like this in the next songs that I write, so it's kind of good to have that in the back of your mind as well.
I guess the great thing about being writing your own music is that you're constantly living life. You're experiencing new things, which just is only more fuel for other songs that you want to be writing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm working with, like, a lot of these songwriting sessions, I'm working with different people every day. So it's great kind of going into studios and collaborating with other artists and songwriters and producers and kind of having them add something into what I already do to kind of make it different or make it grow or make it better, So, and I mean, I've been writing a lot with another New Zealand artist, Jen Wigmore, out here in LA, and she's just taught me so much about songwriting and kind of and lyrical content, and just, I mean, she's incredible. And she's so talented, and I've been really lucky to kind of been able to work with her, and she's kind of taken me under her wing a little bit. So it's been really exciting to kind of grow from that experience as well.
Are the initial ideas for all your songs yours, or do you know some of these collaborators so well that they can come to you with like, Ben, it'd be kind of cool if you did a song about this, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, you know me so well that is something I hadn't thought of, but yeah, that's a cool idea.
I mean, the way that I write a song is I usually kind of, if I'm with the producer or whatever, we kind of jam out a few ideas, and from the music I kind of vibe a melody, and from the melody that usually gives me a story. So I mean, yeah, I think that sometimes in other writing sessions they've come up, like another songwriter has come up with the concept, or if there's another songwriter there, or if it's just me and a producer, then usually the music kind of is the inspiration behind it. So yeah, it just all kind of happens, but sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's really stressful, and sometimes it's just a waste of time.
All right, so now you're heading to New York and then Philadelphia. Have you been to Philadelphia before?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, once before.
I would say one of my favorite places that I like feels like a New York, but in miniature. It's like a smaller city, which is kind of cool. But one of my favorite places for tater tots and fried pickles. I don't know if you're a tater tot or fried pickle person.
No, but I love fried pickles.
Oh, but one of my favorite places. I will tell you the name of it. I think it's called
cool.
the Drunken Fool, I believe is a tavern. I'll tell you afterwards. Yes. Oh, such
Amazing.
such great fried pickles there. Yes. So, do you enjoy doing that as we're getting ready to wrap up here? Do you enjoy eating as you're traveling all around the country, and you say things change from state to state?
The last time we were in Philly, we had a Philly cheesesteak or whatever, which was an experience.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the Philly cheesesteaks.
I feel like they're pretty overrated. But I was complaining about it to someone, and they were just like, "You just went to the wrong place."
Of course.
So they've given me the name of another place, so I'll go back and try it. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting kind of going around. But I mean, yeah, it's also very unhealthy. It's
true, but you're doing the gym, so you feel like it's all right.
Yeah, but most of the food people are suggesting is not like, oh, there's amazing kale salad. Like, you should go and get this like triple deep fried bread cheese bun bowl.
That's so good. Man, it's so good though.
It is so good.
I know this great quinoa place in Philly. I'll set you up. Words that you never hear anybody say. You're right.
Exactly. that person doesn't have any friends.
They live a very lonely life. So, Ben, as we're getting ready to wrap up, where's the best place they want to follow you in terms of keeping track where you'd be in Nashville, New York, Philly? Where's the best place to keep track?
On Facebook at Ben Hazlewood, and Twitter at Ben Hazlewood, Instagram at Ben Hazlewood, HAZLEWWOOD. Yeah, just Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. It's got all the shows and everything that I'm doing, where I'm at, and what I'm up to. So.
And if you want to have Ben take photos with other things that he can crawl into, like dryers or anything like that, just let him know. Yeah, just
small corners.
Small corners, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest has been Ben Hazlewood. I'm Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. We'll see you back here next time for another episode of The Concert Experience, right here on AfterBuzz TV. Take care, everybody.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.